We're live.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to The Obstacle, the show where you listen to two stupid stoics, aka straight white cisgender males, hash out, I don't know, whatever the fuck's going on in the moment. I'm your host, Ericson Just. To my, well, I don't know, left or right, I can't tell the way Zoom's got it presented on the screen. But the other guy, the more handsome looking motherfucker of this duo, the more charismatic is Louis D. Michael?
Nailed it, everybody. Nailed it. Yep, I'm Lou Michael, and I'm in the producer side.
Lou Michael
right
Richards.
Now. Ooh boy, we're in it now. But yeah, welcome to The Obstacle, everybody. It's the hard hitting, tough subject having salsa parlor morning show where we're just gonna get into the nitty gritty about some things going on. We'll riff some.
Basically,
bits.
it's where they put me after we realized that I was just too wild for the Saturday morning show.
It's the Ericson hate cast, and it's fun it's fun to see where his mind goes. So who do we not like this week?
Who do we not like?
Who do we not like this week, bud? Who's grinding your gears? This could have been what grinds your gears.
Yeah, it's a shame that's pretty much everyone's podcast, right? It's just like everybody's podcast. Like, so here's my problem with the Mexican border. Okay, cool, awesome. Speaking of which, actually, did you see did you watch Biden's first press conference?
I caught clips of it. And then funny from the clips I caught, I already know it's just politicized because the right was like, he's slow, he's so slow, he talks like a zombie, and the left is just like, he's picking up other people's messes.
Yeah, exactly. That's my frustration. It's just that once again, like with the media, it's always slanted because you know if that was Trump, they would have been like just destroying him. Right. And you remember when it was Bush, they were always making fun of him. But of course, because it's the guy that they want in there, they're always going to be like, you know, like soft-handed and sweet. Well, it was weird. The questioners were weird because it didn't feel like those were actually like. I guess you didn't watch the whole thing. So you didn't.
Did it seem very scripted, or because there's been?
It seemed very scripted.
I've seen a difference between just how the press room in the White House has changed from the Trump era to the Biden era. Where like the Trump era was like, it had Animal House vibes where you're like, what the fuck is going on here?
Loved it.
And it was, dude, I didn't like it because it annoyed me because I never wanted to deal with what was going on in the White House that much. Because I don't know, man. By the time it's coming to me from the White House, I feel like I'm like, yeah, okay. Just tell me what you're going to do. Like, I'm not getting the news of what's going on from you. I want to know what your reaction to it is. And I know that's kind of how it is, but I don't know, man. It's
wait. Did I hear you right? You said you don't want to know the reaction.
No, like I just want to know what they're gonna do. Their reaction is fine, but it's like, okay, as an executive, what are you gonna do? And
you talking about the president himself?
The president, or the White House. I'm talking about the royal president at this point, but like what the White House is gonna do. And at
this point, I think the press conferences are it's always just bread and circuses. It's always just like a show. It's not, they're not really giving us information. It's very much them playing West Wing, where it's just like, we're going to do this little, like, it's all streamed now. It's always like, you can watch it every day if you wanted to, where it's just, whoever is currently holding the position of press secretary having a real roundabout conversation with, I guess like the top elite brass at I don't know how they decide on who does the beat at Washington for these newspapers, but it never feels. That's what I kind of liked about Trump, is that at least there was this feeling of like two forces trying to get to the truth of the matter, or at least get to like
Trump's
or get to the bullshit. I'm using that. I guess that was the wrong way to put it. There's at least a sense of like, I'm not going to take your bullshit. You know what I mean? Both of them were like trying to get to like, they're both fighting. They're both arguing. They're different. They're both arguing their own version of the truth. So it's not exactly helpful.
See, I don't know. Here's what I saw and granted, I only watch clips of Biden, so I don't have a ton of it, but it's like I feel like from watching his inauguration speech, I have a vibe of how he's going to do press conferences.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's not like his inauguration speech.
Right. I'm just saying, like, heavily scripted, feel good, not really going to go outside the beaten path. Whereas, like, dude, I couldn't stand Trump and the narcissistic hour of like just freewheeling, and then like every now and again you would see somebody in the back had to be like putting up a road flare for either like shut the fuck up or like change topic or like the
but you
you're
like
losing
the,
like
but you like that but you like that better than the whole like I'm gonna try to freewheel and then get lost in my thoughts and eventually just give up on the entire sentence entirely, like a withered old
do
grandfather
I like
who got
Trump's better or what? Because I was just talking about
well,
Trump.
you got Trump who basically does like literally freewheel every single answer he does, everything he's ever done, like he really does look at every press conference, every rally, every moment he has a camera or the nation's attention on him was an opportunity for him to do the Trump show. Right. It was for him to be,
and that's I didn't like that. See,
I understand. Well, I understand people's frustration with that because when you have a narcissistic president who is more concerned with like having fun and being the center of attention. I mean, I don't know if you ever did this in improv. I think I was this guy in improv where just like the person where it's actually I wasn't this guy. But I knew people like this were just like, it's that like every time you did an improv together, it was their show. It was their opportunity for them to stand out. Right. And it kind of destroys the scene because you have this like grandstander who's trying to make it all about them when everyone else is trying to work together to create a moment. So I get that. But I'm saying now take that, and we've gone from that now to old granddad from the war who can't really remember what it is she's trying to say and kind of loses speed and energy halfway through a sentence and just kind of gives up. Right. They're both bad.
Well, that's the thing, man. I knew that going in to this the election and what the
you were voting a guy who was basically got one foot in the grave.
I knew what was going on with Biden, but the thing is, okay, again, as somebody who like I really studied the executive branch, I have a certain passion for U.S. politics and how it works.
Yeah, no.
I couldn't stand Trump as an executive. I couldn't stand him as a president. I just if you want to talk about character, I fucking hated his character as a leader. And what blew my mind the most is, sorry, I feel a little bit of a tirade coming on here. I see guys.
Go for it. Like, hey, it would be nice if it changed of pace.
No, I see guys like Jocko Willink and other like former military guys I respect the shit out of. Guys I could never hold a fucking candle to as far as mental toughness, physical toughness, leadership, none of that stuff, right? And I digest it and I try to make myself better like listening to these guys. And then you hear their hot takes on Trump as a leader and they get squeamish. They stop. They try to do the bullshit talk I don't care about. And borderline Hippocratic, and it bugs me because I'm like, God damn it! Like you're always talking about how a leader needs to do this, and this, and there's that's the staunch bedrock of a good leader. And then when it comes up like but this guy's in your park, and to see that like, I'm not disappointed, but I'm just kind of like, I get it. Like
you get what? What do you get
at the top level? At the end of the day, if I think true acceptance in leadership is, realizing that maybe the guy is not entirely part of your tribe, but he's a good leader and he can lead us as a society or us as, Americans forward, or even recognizing, the individual characteristics of a person as a leader. It just bugged me to see, like, I've seen double talk or like, again, like
you see that everywhere.
Well, no,
you see that everywhere.
But no. But what's bugging me is like a guy, and I don't mean to throw like Jocko or other guys like this. I'm not. First of all, I could never throw that guy.
He's going to come to your house.
Yeah,
he's going to come to your house.
He's already here to kill me. It's fine.
Yeah, he's actually. I can see some movement on the ceiling. I think
I could throw him under the bus and the bus would explode and everybody else on the bus would die. And he'd be like, "What happened? Did I scratch my shoulder?" But my point being is just like it kind of blew me apart because I've seen him eviscerate people for being shitty leaders before, and then when
Right.
this one came up, it was eggshells. I'm like, God damn it, man! Like I really didn't want you, the badass of all badasses.
Well,
And I'm using the Royal Jocko at this point, but to be like timid when somebody's like, hey, this guy kind of sucks as a leader and he's narcissistic and it's not a guy that would have your back. Like you can
Jocko's
tell that.
Jocko's also, but Jocko is a guy who I do see. I mean, I don't know him that well, but like he has a military background, like a very strong
Yeah.
military
Yeah.
background. I
He was a commander in
remember I
SEAL
saw his
teams.
TED talk about extreme accountability.
Yeah.
So what I get from him is he's a guy who really understands. I mean, his accountability, just basing himself on his accountability speech, which is all about how when his men on his team failed, it was his fault. He
Right.
took responsibility because
Right.
he was the leader. It was everything came down to him.
Right.
So he's a man who really, I think, respects hierarchy. And I'm not sure. I'd have to look into more of it, but I guess it's a possible explanation would be that he just doesn't believe you shit on the current president. Now, if I saw a video of him shitting on, for instance, Biden right now,
Yeah.
or past presidents while they were in office, then I'd be like, okay, clearly that's not the case. And yeah, that does seem inconsistent.
I will say this: he does have a respectful tone for the office of the president, and so I think that's
Right.
maybe why.
And I think that is,
but
and that's something that I think is important, by the way. Like, I think people who are like, I mean, don't get me wrong, I definitely think you should speak up when you think something is wrong.
right.
But I think people overlook the value that there is from still respecting a position for your own sake.
I 100% agree with you, but I will push back on when somebody in that position doesn't even respect it. Then that's where my patriotism kind of kicks in, where I'm like, nah, dude.
But you
this
do
guy ain't
realize,
doing it.
but you see, that's what I'm saying though. You got to realize that like there's so much of that is you making your own decision about whether or not they respect it. Like, that's all a matter of opinion if they respect the position. Somebody's the leader. Like, I
Sure,
get
but
it.
I would say I'm talking about the technicals of like executing things that the executive office can't do. That's where I'm like, okay, no.
But hasn't every president done stuff like that? Like, hasn't every president like gone past their purview of
Sure,
what they're supposed to
if
be
you
allowed
want
to
to
do?
start getting into the Federalist Papers, yeah, sure. Hamilton 10, we can go into how every branch needs to, really get after
Well,
their powers
I'm
here,
just saying, if you're using that as a metric, and it's like, well, in every president, you pretty much could like, you could say has been a
but
disappointment.
no, you can't. And that's such a straw man argument that I'm like, absolutely not.
Straw man argument. It
Yeah.
just seems consistent. If you got a problem with this president because the way he doesn't respect the limit of his power, but you see other presidents also not respecting the limit of their power, isn't that the same problem?
I would no, man, because here's the thing: you're doing the blanket statement of like this president. I want to go into maybe
Blanket statement.
yeah. Let's go into some.
Well, I
specifics
was just starting. Well, I was just starting with you. Your argument was my problem with this president is that he kind of did this general thing, and I was like, well, other presidents have done that general thing, so you have to be angry at all
so
presidents.
I'll go in a little.
And now
bit
it's
more
not
then.
that; it's more specific. It's the type of thing he did that you found disrespectful.
Yeah. Mainly, okay. So character, lack of leadership. Right. Going back into what I was talking about on the first time. Even in the press conferences where I think one of the most infamous ones where somebody asked Trump, like, hey, do you take any responsibility for this or is this your fault? And he was like, no, none of it. Like, I take zero responsibility. This is what I like. The preparedness for COVID was like the biggest one.
Right.
And I remember he just like blatantly was like, nope, it's not my fault. And I was just like, dude, you're the leader. Like, this buck comes back to you. And that's where that's like a character example I'm talking about. And then as far as like respecting the position of the president of the United States, let's look at like how he would tweet. Some of the tweets he would put out there, which no other president right now has done, would do things that would actually put, if you want to keep it in the vein of the military, put some of our troops and other people in the military in precocious, if not dangerous situations without even going through the proper channels of the chain of command. Where it's like, yeah, he's the commander in chief, and if he wants to do something with the military, absolutely. But for him to, supersede and go beyond that chain and just wildly throw out some things for the world to see, and then have people directly under him and then people drastically under him in that chain of command questioning like, hey, what the fuck was that? Like, is that a real order or where's this coming from? And a kind of meager example would be, when he talked about trans people in the military, and he just threw that tweet out there, and everybody at the Pentagon was like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" And then going way back, some of the attacks we would pull off where he'd be like live tweeting an attack where it's like, dude, if Trump was in the White House when they were going after bin Laden, he'd be like, knock, knock, motherfucker. Like, bin Laden.
That'd be pretty bad. That would be pretty baller, honestly.
What's going on here,
that
man?
would be one hell of a tweet.
Yeah, but it's just like, you get what I'm talking about, where it's like, those are just, just knock, knock.
That'd be amazing. That would be amazing.
So
I would buy that tweet.
I'm not gonna lie. Back when Biden,
I would buy an NFT of that tweet for sure. Of the Obama tweet, the Obama knock knock tweet.
Dude.
Sorry, Osama. Jesus, got those mixed up.
I was like, back when Biden was fully firing on all cylinders, I do love.
Oh, you mean in like 1986?
Nah, man, back in 1950. But when he was in the White House war room or whatever room they were in when they were watching the raid, I do love that there's it's not on audio, but it's first person quote that Biden was like, after they killed bin Laden, everybody else in the room was kind of like aghast or like, oh, we just kind of watched a live snuff video. Yeah. And Biden was like so goddamn red-blooded American, just hard, like we got him, that I think he was the only person in the room that got up and went, we fucking got him, or something along the lines of that, like a total USA moment. And everybody else was like, I think we just watched like a raid that was like very intense and people were dying, and Biden's like, sure did, and we fucking got him. Like,
dude, that Biden I would have been happy to like consider voting for. Like that one, like in being in office, I was excited about. So I think that's the Biden
of his mental capacity that you're
there's just a feeling of like weakness, of like also genuine like the sameness going back to like a lot of like of the Obama practices that like there's a lot of things that they didn't do right, that they weren't working on, that was mostly just supporting like corporate interests and like the status quo.
It's funny that you bring that up because Adam York, shout out in the comments, does say that we live in a one-party system, which is money. And I know that's something I agree. You
absolutely. Well, my biggest problem, like I said, with them is with the media and the establishment in general. I don't really have a side. I'm not on a particular party. I think both of them suck.
Do you have a party?
No, I listen to a lot of libertarian podcasts, but I wouldn't even consider myself a libertarian because philosophically, I don't think
you're not that dumb. Come on now.
I don't think they're dumb, dude. What do you mean that? Why? What is this shit? What is this hate on libertarians that people have? Dude, like, what? Why do they hate them so much?
Here's the thing: a truly intelligent libertarian, and I know there's a lot of them out there. And I'm not gonna lie. The more I talk out loud, the more people are like, "Hey, Lou, you've kind of fallen in that camp, you fucking idiot." I'm like, "Yeah, that makes sense." But I think here's the thing: libertarianism is a beautiful field. It just has a lot of fertilizer that happens to cultivate dipshits. There's amazing. Well, that's okay. So like it just seems the per capita anecdotal evidence.
Are you saying the type of people who become libertarians? Or are you saying in a libertarian like state?
No, I go on that a little bit more.
Are you saying a lot of? I'm basically asking, using the Joe Rogan argument. Are you saying like, oh, libertarianism itself as a theory is okay, I just hate its fans, or are you saying that libertarian as a government, like as a way of governing a country, creates dipshits?
I think it falls in the category of communism, where on paper it looks really nice.
Okay.
But then when you start to put it in practice, like it's just like, shit, like libertarianism works if everybody is like a high functioning good person.
Well, that's my philosophical problem with it, is that like I genuinely believe that most human beings desire dogma and rules and other people to tell them what to do.
Mm-hmm.
That if you go by libertarianism and basically make everyone in charge themselves, people will naturally just follow the person who's willing to lead them.
Right. If you had a
And eventually it'll just erode. It's not that libertarianism doesn't work. It is itself like a bad political ideology. It's that I cannot see how it doesn't inevitably lead to like some sort of other ideology overtaking it, because it basically creates an open playing field, an open market, if you will, for someone to come in and be like, okay, I'm going to take other people's a desire to
Right.
not have responsibility,
Right.
which I think is
Right.
the
Right.
majority of people,
And
and I'm going to use that to become a powerful dictator.
so I think libertarianism, because I'm picking up what you're putting
And
down.
if somebody who's listening or watching this thinks I'm like an idiot, I just prove me wrong, because I would love to see how I'm wrong. I just don't. I don't believe in the human spirit.
I was gonna say I'm listening and watching. I'll take a shot. No,
Okay, go
I'm
for it.
fucking with you. Here's the thing. I agree with a lot of
Yeah, it
things
seems
you
like we're
just said.
agreeing.
About libertarianism, because to me it always felt like if anarchy grew up, got a job, and put a suit on, but was still like, hey, I
Right.
still like the music I listened to as a teenager. Because
Jesus, what is this? Is what I'm talking about. There's just like this underlying hate and angst towards libertarians,
no,
though.
no, no, no.
Go
I'm
on.
saying like if a libertarian, like they remember their kind
Their
of
youth.
anarchy youth of like absolute freedom, but then they're
Yeah.
like, well, hold the fuck on, like we need a couple of bumper lanes here. But that whole like live and let live, don't fuck with me, I won't fuck with you. Like again, if you're living in let's call it perfect Texas, where everybody is like, yeah, doors are open and we all got guns
Right.
and we look after our own shit. I'm like, yeah, obviously
Yeah.
that would work, but the problem is there's smarmy fucks out there that are going to take advantage of everybody's goodwill in the system, and that's where I'm like, well, there's the issue. You got to move
Right.
at the slowest, shittiest part of society.
See, and I don't like that, by the way.
No, neither do I. That we have to
A
move
friend
by
of
the
mine,
slowest boat.
a friend and I got a really big argument, and it sits to me this day, where I was talking about like, I forget exactly what policy we're talking about, but I was basically saying like, well, that would just be making the rules and the laws based on the dumbest person. He's like, yeah, well, that's what you do. And I'm like, that just does not work for me.
It
If we are
sucks, but
literally
yeah.
holding society back based by its worst people,
Mm-hmm.
like you have to try to create, in my mind, you want to create a rule system that's based around acting as the best possible person. What would the highest minded person do? So anyway, so all I'm saying with the libertarians is that, and you kind of illustrated it for me, is that like I think the philosophy is broken only because in a libertarian government, people who are not libertarian
Mm-hmm.
will end up looking for something else and end up being basically manipulated as useful idiots into creating pretty much a government like we have now, if not a much more tyrannical one.
Right.
But the libertarians themselves, I don't find them to be dumb. I think people who are very educated libertarians actually they tend to be the responsible people. They tend to be the people who actually do their due diligence and actually looking into policy and thinking about reason. The thing that they don't have an answer for, and I'd love to ask some of the bigger names in libertarianism about how they would solve this problem, is that how do you solve non-libertarians living in
Right.
a libertarian society?
And
Because
that's
they
the issue, though, isn't it?
because smart non-libertarians,
Mm-hmm.
and that's probably why libertarians always lose, to be honest. That's why they can't win, is because in this game where you have people who are like, well, I'll just take the Democratic Party, I'll take the Republican Party, they're going to have a lot more success because their party is just based on opposition. It's just based off of groupthink. It's based off of like, we're the good guys.
Right, right. And okay, so boil it down into having a tribe and having a people and having an opposition and having a sense of purpose in your life. One of the biggest
Sure.
things that can give people purpose, that will to get up in the morning, is to have an enemy or to have an obstacle. Self plug for the show, or have something, that you fight against. And I don't want to segue
Right,
too
but a
far
lot of
off
people.
as
Okay.
what's up. No, go ahead. You
Well, I would say a
point
lot
out
of people seem to. I don't know. I always jump to conclusions about where you're going with it. I should let you finish your goddamn your
my
goddamn
point.
points.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
okay. So it kind of jumpstart my thought here. Having something to wake up and oppose, I think, gives a solid sense of purpose, and
Mhm.
I think a lot of people need that because they can't get purpose from within, or simple purpose. Where I think true intelligent libertarians don't need an external obstacle to give them a sense of purpose. And this is now I'm kind of going into the psychology of like
Right.
who would be what party here. But I think you also see in the bell curve of how many people can actually be libertarians, play by proper rules, and be morally, now I'm kind of getting into it, but morally good enough to be a libertarian, to the point where it's like, yeah, live and let live, you know, the sheriff society or the sheriff-less society, where I'm like, well, now you're getting into borderline utopia, and we both know that's not a thing.
Well, you can have a sheriff. Like, no one's saying it would be utopia. It's just that it's from what I understand. But what because you would have a sheriff and you would have a police force. You can have all these things that we have in normal society. You're just you just need everyone to stand by the principle of, like, you know, of goodwill, pretty much. Like, overall, like, most people have to be willing to take responsibility for themselves and not rely on the government to take care of their problems for them. Basically.
Yeah. But, you know, but now you kind of, so here's something you get, that's that, like, pull yourself up by the bootstraps type of thing. And I agree with that, but I think, weirdly enough, because of what you just said, like, you know, take care of yourself, take care of your own problems, kind of in the camp of libertarianism, I think when you push it a little bit more, like, we need a little bit more structure to this, I think that's where you start to get into the Republican world, where it's like,
perhaps, but okay, I'm not going to say that libertarianism maybe doesn't fall on the spectrum closer to conservatism, but that doesn't make it better or worse.
No. I'm just saying it seems to be like that's where that camp then
going back to my own personal, like, philosophy when it comes to politics. Like, I definitely have a lot of democratic, like, aligned virtues and stuff like that. That's why I don't really consider myself, like, you know, in any party. Is that look,
what's one of your biggest ones? That
one of my biggest,
like, democratic. And
that's democratic.
Yeah.
I don't know, actually. Okay. I can't off the top of my head. Like, well, I don't know. Here are my biggest issues. Is that, like, the big things I care about most is, like, you know, corporate regulation.
Okay. I'm on
prison
with that.
Prison reform.
Okay.
And education.
Yep.
So those the policies that affect those, I have the biggest care for at the moment, because those things I think have the biggest impact on our society.
Right.
I think imprisoning people for small crimes and misdemeanors, and basically creating a situation where they have less incentive to start behaving and more incentive to continue behaving badly is not good for society. Right. It's just not good. Like, look, we could argue we have the highest GDP because we have the highest prison population. And there might be some truth to that, because it seems like
news to me.
All great nations.
Never heard that.
What, that we have the highest prison population?
No, I knew that.
You didn't know that?
No, I knew we had the highest prison population. I didn't know it. You know, that our GDP was affected unless it's privatized.
I don't know. I don't know if it is affected. I'm just saying. I'm trying to say you can make an argument. It's the old, like, well, we wouldn't have what we have. We didn't have slaves. It's like, yeah, I guess that might be true. But at the same time, like, I just don't think you can call yourself the freest country in the world when you will, where you'll imprison people for doing some of the most, like, innocent of mistakes that they can possibly make. So I have a real big. So I don't know if that falls under Democrat or Republican. That just kind of, for me, just falls under, like, look,
prison reform and definitely corporate regulation. Right. I think fall definitely more on. Here's the thing. They're democratic issues now because I think Democrats have
that's why I was that's right. The things that I believe in that are democratic are really just issues that they are right now in charge of, or pioneering.
Let's go. If you follow me down this rabbit hole for a second, let's just go down to the bare bones of what the two parties were, governance wise. Which, you know, big government, small government, more taxes, less taxes. And that's kind of like, that's where I like to start with the frameworks of the two parties. And then for whatever reason, the psychological makeup of those big things seem to draw social issues. It's like two captains for a dodgeball team. And it's like, okay, smaller government, live alone and police yourself. Yeah, I'll take, I like guns. You get over on my squad. And then big government.
Yeah, that's 100%. That's where that's where this whole argument against libertarianism comes from. Is that, like, basically, you have two sides. You're like, well, we realize that no one pays attention to what we stand for. Right. So we've got to find other issues that we can take on to make them want to vote for us.
Let's see.
We got people talking?
Yeah, we got a few people. We got Sean and Adam York in there. Shout out to anybody listening.
Oh, yeah, Adam York, 100%. We do live in a one-party system. He's the one who said that? Yeah, he's absolutely right.
Adam York's on board with it. Adam York's a very, very smart dude. Same with Sean Murray. chiming in. The guy who wrote the book on capitalism said slavery was ineffective.
Well, I mean, it's hard to argue that it didn't have a profound influence on the world and where we're at in it right now.
Yeah, I don't know. Is that a literal book or was that a turn of phrase? I don't know if that's I think the quote there leads me to believe that that's just,
it doesn't make me happy to admit it. Like, obviously, as a child from slaves, like deep down, like, you know, slavery is not an appealing concept, but
it's grotesque. It's 100% grotesque.
Well, it's taking away the grotesqueness about it. If you look at it from an objectivist perspective of, like, you know, what makes us as humans stand above all animals, it's our ability to not only cooperate, but to be able to organize. And when people can organize a huge mass amount of people, whether by community or by force, it's still something that is what helped us push us.
No,
my people built Egypt. Okay,
we didn't want to. Thank you for the pyramids. God damn it!
Yeah,
you
we built
get
Egypt.
The goddamn joke out.
Okay.
Like, we get it, man. Whenever anybody, this blows my mind with the ancient alien shit, and whenever people look at the pyramids, they're like, "How the fuck did humans do this?" I'm like, "Have you ever seen expendable humans working on shit? They can move bricks up a mountain, buddy. Like, they're like, they didn't even have wheels." I'm like, "Yeah, they moved logs and pushed them up there." Whenever anybody's like, this is such a bad bit, but I'm leaning into it. Whenever anybody's like, pyramids had to be UFOs, I'm like, dude, you give me that amount of people in a couple thousand years, I'll build just fucking pyramids. Like,
well, what was funny for me was as a Jewish kid, like, you learn that we built the pyramids, right? So that's the first story here, and then you get
Sunday school or whatever the hell the equivalent is.
My dad started sending me there when I was like 10 or 11, but when I realized that it wasn't going to be on my my permanent record, it wasn't going to stop me from getting to college, I started like acting out so they would kick me out because I hate. I honestly, anyone listening, and I know you got a real Michigan crew that watches, like, you know, your stuff, so they're probably very Catholic and religious, but seriously, like, don't send your kid to fucking Sunday school. Okay,
Jews
it's bad. I'm just saying. But it's I got the feeling from your house and just from the people I met in the area. Like, it's a very Gentile area, and that's good. I got nothing against them. If anything, I'm thinking of joining a church just to find myself a wife.
Don't join the fucking Catholic Church, man.
There you go. Now you're shitting on it.
No, yeah, man, but it's like, you know, once you're in the Borg, you can get out, and you're like, yeah, they need to be destroyed. I got nothing against God or Jesus. I do have.
Well, there you go. My point is, then you can support my idea. Like, don't send your kid to Sunday school. I don't care if you're Jewish. I don't care if you're Christian. I don't care if you're Catholic. Just like, look, the kid's already forced to go to 5 days of like re-education.
Yeah.
Let them have a fucking weekend. Let them have a fucking or pre-education, I guess. Sean Murray says Adam Smith's Wealth of Nations. His argument basically was that you will get more better work out of a group of people by providing opportunity to prove their lives. That is true. I agree.
Yeah,
but when all you want is when all you want is Section 8 housing for your Egyptian population, you don't care so much about the good work. You just want them to get it done.
Well, so how do you feel about UBI? Because that is something I was going to bring up. Because I like you brought up your kind of.
I think it's crazy how, like, only like women can have it and it doesn't really do anything to them, but then men have it and it just burns every time we piss.
Hang on, what the fuck? Oh, okay. I was like, what? Good one. Hot.
What?
Hot bit.
What?
UBI?
Oh, I thought we were switching gears. No. I thought we were just switching gears.
UTI?
Oh, you mean universal basic income?
Yeah.
Actually, looking back, I'm really disappointed I even did that joke. But
yeah, it's all right. People saw it live, but I can clip it out for you.
You should cut that. Yeah, clip that out and put it into the Saturday morning show where it belongs.
Probably gonna go ahead and just put it on blast for you. Like, this is what you got on the Just Ericson podcast. A lot of these days.
Not even close. I wish. Universal basic income. We're gonna hop on that one.
I just kind of want you to.
I don't know enough. Here's my honest. Here's my honest to God. I mean, well, it's first of all, have you heard? Actually, I should have brought that up. Have you heard anything about the second stimulus check they're sending in April?
I haven't got it, but Trevor.
No, I'm talking about they're saying another one.
Roommate here at Saul's Parlor told me just yesterday, and I hadn't looked into it, but they're thinking about an April one as well.
That's, I mean, I'm seeing tweets about it. I cannot
Okay.
find an actual article. The thing I did see is that he's thinking about having a second stimulus in April, but it's a stimulus that's that's aimed towards like children's, I think, like children's education,
Yeah.
like hospitals. Like, it's not about the people, it's more about the infrastructure.
Right.
So
Right.
I think people are seeing second stimulus,
Right.
and
They're
they're immediately
gonna.
making the assumption like, oh, that means more free money. It's like, no, not every stimulus
Right. Right.
is just
Right.
free money in the pockets of
Right.
Americans.
We used to stimulate the economy before COVID. It's just you never got
Right. And
that
we never,
direct money. Like, oh
right. It
shit.
wasn't by helping out the people, it was by
Right.
helping out
Right. Right.
corporations and businesses.
But okay, no, but seriously, give me your elevator pitch for or against UBI or your opinion on it. How do you feel about it?
Honestly, I hate to say it at this point, as long as it makes me richer, I don't give a fuck.
Okay.
Like,
That's an
I,
honest
I
take, man.
don't know
That's an
enough
honest
about
take.
the economy.
Yeah.
I know enough about it that if I see enough ways that it negatively affects the economy, I'll invest more in crypto and other monetary groups. Like I'll trade my dollars for pounds or whatever.
Okay.
But if it actually works, then yeah, I fully support it. I think it's funny. I have a friend who's always been big on UBI. He's very hipster.
Okay.
He probably wouldn't appreciate
He
me.
was into UBI before it was cool.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's
Okay.
just been talking about it even before the pandemic.
Okay.
He told me this.
Yang
Apparently, there's an
Yang?
area.
Was he like
Apparently,
before Yang or no? Because that's
yeah, before Yang, like he's been
damn.
talking UBI
All
for a
right,
long
that is
time.
hipster UBI.
He was telling me how there's apparently I think it was a city in Canada where they tried it,
Yeah.
like a small city, a small area, and apparently it worked brilliantly. Like they were just able to everyone lived a lot calmer and easier, and ended up just doing with their free time a lot more productive things.
Right.
Sounds nice. I would like to see the research. I'm also not much of a scientist enough to be able to dissect how they're measuring the success of the area. But what I will say, so stuff like that is hopeful that it could work. Right. But I will say, when I walk around the country, even now, or especially as a comic, and you go to open mics, and you've got comics saying like, I'm making more money now than I ever did in any job I ever had. I'm loving it. Oh my God. I just sit at home all day and I play Warcraft and I order pizzas and Postmates and shit like that.
Right.
That stuff makes me think like, you know what? I hate to say it but it might be not even just American, but the natural propensity of a human being to be lazy. I was just telling you before we started this, I had an easier time doing this podcast when I was sleeping on your couch and I had no distractions, because it's like there's nothing else for me to do. The more comfort you have.
I'll meet you there, because earlier in the podcast I brought up about how you have to move at your slowest boat, and I definitely think $1,000 or whatever gets you slightly above the poverty line. I don't know if 12 grand a year, I think that does technically get you above the poverty line. So I got into UBI a lot listening to Andrew Yang, but here's the thing. We are amongst comics, and open mic comics there's a lot of degenerate, let's go ahead and say, like not real go-getters. And I hate to say it, but I'll call them out. Like, dude, I've been there too. It's sweatpants culture. But here's the thing. If you want to talk about, living in a free society where you live and let live, and it's like whatever, if UBI allows somebody to play video games and, eat pizza, and that's their existence they choose, and they don't want to excel with that, fine. But I see guys taking the UBI, and now they don't have to worry about medical payments. Now they can actually afford to eat and travel and do shows and build businesses, and they're not literally worrying about dying. Like whatever,
Well, yeah, but you could just argue then, okay, well, instead of UBI, free Medicare.
Sure.
Like that should be like, and
I'm good.
And that's.
Give me one or other, though. We don't have anything yet.
I know the free medical assistance. Like, honestly, like that's more important to me than the border at this point. Like I would say, as far as I'm concerned, just shut the border down if you have to. Let's just seriously just shut it down. Throw everybody out of the camps on the other side. Say, you guys go work this out. Look, we got to figure out we got to get people healthy here. Yeah. We have an obesity problem. We have a pandemic that has ravaged our country. And although we're doing a lot better than we have done, we're still not doing as good as we could have.
Hey, I agree with you. I got to do some bad podcasting here, and this is 100% my fault, because I'm changing up my routine. We got a lot in the comments. Can you read those for a second? I gotta go up.
Yeah. You're going.
Yeah, just real
Oh my
quick, real
God!
quick.
Somebody
Go,
see
go.
this.
You got it. You got
See,
it.
ladies and gentlemen, last night Lewis is like, "Yo, you want to
I
do
gotta
10
piss.
a.m. instead of 9 a.m. because we've been getting a lot better response on the Saturday show from opening at 10 a.m." And I'm like, "Sure, no problem." But I guess what he didn't factor in is that when we started at 9, it gave him just enough time to build up that poop. I don't think of a better word for it, in order for him to make sure that when we ended, he could just slide right into those DMs, so to speak. And now he's just completely ruined himself. Okay, so let's see here. We got Adam Smith. I should put my glasses on. I'm getting old, dude. I'm getting old. I'm 30 fucking 4, and now I'm like, I need glasses in order to see. West side of so Sean already said Adam Smith, Wilson Nation. We saw that. Adam York, west side of Michigan is conservative religious. Most of the rest of Michigan isn't so bad. They're just militia. Yeah, it's funny. I keep telling people I'm moving to Lansing, like I'm going to start living there, and I'm like saying, and they're like, "Why do you want to live there?" And I'm always like, "Well, because it's quieter." But then I remember it's not as involved in like this whole political mess. But then you think about the fact that you guys are the first place in the entire country that had a protest for stay-at-home orders. So maybe it really won't be that calm.
Oh,
Do you remember that?
Were we talking about Michigan and the?
Yeah, Adam York was saying how Michigan is conservative, like how West Side Michigan is conservative and religious.
Yeah.
And I was just saying, like, it's funny how when I tell people, he said the rest of it's mostly not that bad, and I was telling him how like people have been asking me a lot. I went to Passover dinner. I was like, "Why are you moving to Michigan?"
Oh, Jesus.
And I'm like, well, I like that I was like, I'm done with big cities. I think they're going to be pretty screwed for the next few years. I definitely don't want to be in LA anymore.
Yeah.
And also, I just want to move. Also, I know these guys are really awesome. They're really funny. I think it's a really funny comedy scene that I can really contribute to. And I was like, and also I want to go somewhere where it's like, it's not that like, rambunctious or loud or as much political craziness. And I was like, that being said, it is the first city.
Yeah.
Well, I was like, it's the first city that had like protests that were about like stay-at-home orders.
Michigan is amongst one of the weirdest goddamn states.
By the way,
I don't know how to. I live here and I don't know how to.
If I was about to say, if I had lived in Michigan for like the last 10 years in the peacefulness that you guys have, and then I came out one day to see a bunch like literally cars going all the way down the road beeping, just in protest of staying at home, I'd be like, Jesus.
I got to tell you, okay, man, you're looking at it from some limited experience here, because it's like. Michigan is definitely, it's not even a flyover state. It's a weird one. You got to like come here because it's a peninsula. But like, dude, we've had riots. Like the other thing
Oh,
is,
really?
Oh yeah, man. Like the Detroit riots back in the 60s still, like, you still feel that growing up. Like I grew up in Detroit early. I was a small kid growing up in Detroit, and then we moved out to the suburbs and then the burbs. But like, dude, the culture around East Michigan is still that, like, we got fucked by the big 3 years ago. And
I feel that. I definitely, I feel that when I'm there.
Dude, and then the gruffness is also, like, the government, like, federal government hasn't given a fuck about us for years either. So that's why that Detroit versus everybody culture, like, I know it's kind of a joke, but where you look.
Is that why you guys...
Is that
why you guys are becoming are becoming more and more blue and more into big government? You feel like if you just kind of kowtow to your corporate superiors, they'll start to take care of you and acknowledge you as a state?
It's tough to see, because here's the thing. I always kind of fall in love with Detroit when I go home, and I'm always like, God damn it, it's so ready to Phoenix, but it just seems like it hasn't quite sparked yet. And I'm like, I don't know. That's a different podcast. But it is. I just want to say, like, when you're talking about how if you lived in peaceful Michigan and you woke up to see those cars, I hate to burst your bubble. It's not that peaceful.
It's not
here.
peaceful. Okay.
When that
happened, I know. I might be having an idyllic idea that Michigan's like the Ozarks, where like I want to be getting I really think you guys are like a small town where like you guys
we ain't that small, because when that
Right,
happened, a lot of Michigan was like, God damn it, you
we've
fuckers,
got
go home. Our New
we
York
got Flint,
comes out.
we got Detroit, we got Grand Rapids, we got a lot of places that are having civil unrest.
You would probably like Grand Rapids. I'm gonna let all the Michigan people chuckle at that on their own and then move on.
Inside joke for the newbie doesn't know.
You are a Grand Rapids guy for sure. It's and I mean that in a not complimentary way. No, I'm fucking with you.
I know.
I just
OG.
I think you would like it.
OG, I'm just gonna go through the rest of the
Yeah,
chat
yeah,
because I want to make sure I acknowledge people.
yeah.
OG Yandu, if I had 60K, I'd go all in on Bitcoin. OG, I'd split that 30%, 50% Bitcoin, and I put the rest in Sol because that's gonna be the new that's the next Ethereum. Little
Really,
tidbit.
really.
Yeah, I really
We'll
think
talk off mic about that then. Yeah,
we'll talk off
yeah,
mic about ways that we can improve our financial future.
yeah,
You guys are gonna have to wait for the Patreon for that one.
yeah. Right.
Sean Murray's is excited to see OG. Gavin Witter. While it is true that the pharaonic, damn it, state enslaved Jews. Oh, this is Gavin. He's a smart guy.
Yeah.
I see he left comments on our last one.
Oh yeah.
Egypt was also a refugee during frequent crop failures and foreign invasions. Egypt and Israel were military allies at times.
Huh.
I believe that, dude. I did not realize how little I knew about the history of Egypt until literally last Saturday when we sat down for Passover and started reading the history of the Jews.
Yeah.
And I just realized that me saying that while putting air quotes is probably going to be a clip that definitely comes back to haunt me.
What, the history of the Jews?
Well, it's just interesting because like the Passover story, I'm reading it. I'm just like, it's been so long since I've gone to Passover. It's been like I was realizing when I was there, I was like, oh my God, it's been like the last Passover I did was like 4 years ago at my friend's house, but it was like one of those like Rastafarian Passovers where it's like, it's kind of fun. So Passover, there's this
hang on, that's some fucking LA shit.
Quick. Yeah, no, it's totally LA
like,
shit.
That's the most LA thing I've heard you
say.
But
here's the thing. So the Jewish holidays, we don't trust you to do it right. So every Jewish holiday comes with a manual, like a book on how to do it that you follow throughout the night.
I've actually been to a Passover before.
Right. Do you remember the book, right? You remember reading out of the book and shit like that?
Yeah,
right.
Well, it was wild. Like I was just walking down the street and a bunch of Jews were like, you look like, get in here.
No way.
No.
Really?
No.
Okay.
It was a weird like Catholic Jewish like team up where they're like, we'll show you our weird shit and you show us your weird shit. So it was odd because I'm like, why are we doing this? And then like it's a learning experience. And I don't know. I respected the hell out of it. And first of all, Passover dinner was fun as fuck. I had a blast.
It's fun, but the story I hadn't seen the story, the actual story in like 15 years. And I was just like,
okay.
I was like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
As a child, it's just black and white. It's like, oh yeah, the Egyptian people were just totally cool with having slaves, which is, I guess, the way, America looks back at it too. But like, as an adult now, I'm like, okay, clearly there's a political structure here. Clearly there was like some sort of like, movement towards Jews becoming enslaved. Like there's so much more history here that I don't even have any awareness of. I just had this idea that there was this like cruel, evil, orange pharaoh who was just ruling over everybody and deciding that the Jews were the slaves, and everyone listened to him because Egyptians have no sort of like, personal, like, like ability to think or agency. So every Egyptian was, I guess, evil. So it was totally cool that we had God kill all their firstborns.
Yeah,
I'm just like,
I gotta tell you, not reading into any of the subtext. I'm picking up what you're putting down. I'm
just saying, like, it's just like, this doesn't, I realized I was like, I have no idea what really happened. Like, I have no idea. Like, there were Egyptians who were like, teenagers who were like, protesting the streets, like, free the Jews. This isn't fair. Like, there was definitely like, and then they died. Some of them died because they were firstborns.
Was this
God killed them?
Passover dinner this last week?
Oh, this was all in my head. I was sitting there. Sitting there as a reading from, I forget what the book is called, just giggling the whole time, just like snarkling, like, Jesus.
Is it? No, it's not. Obviously, maybe not obviously, but it's not the Torah, right? That's just for when you guys.
The Torah. Well, I mean, these prayers come from the Torah, but like, you're not reading out of the Torah. We don't. Most Jewish people don't. I don't think we ever read out of the Torah unless we're in the synagogue.
Right.
And I'm not sure that's even because of our initial religion so much as it is that if you have an actual Torah and you haven't given it to a synagogue, you are considered to be a really pretty bad Jew. Like,
really?
Well, yeah, because there's only so many of them, and there are sacred texts, so it's just like, and so it's hard for synagogues to get a hold of them. Okay. My dad's father worked very hard to procure one, with like a lot of money, and gave it to his synagogue, which initially as a child I saw as a very, very like humble, kind thing to do as a Jew. Now looking back, I'm just like, wow, that guy just loved to flaunt his money.
All right, but I can't speak to it. Sounds like you know your grandpa better. I've only played dominoes with him once, but I had no idea about that. I thought, I'm like, oh, that explains why there's not a Torah in every flippin' fuck motel around the country.
Wouldn't that be crazy
yeah,
if you just like if you went to Israel and every Motel 6 has a
There's a
cabinet you
Torah.
open up and there's a Torah in there,
Yeah,
a
I'm like,
gigantic Torah, in
okay.
case you want to read
But
that.
you can get like a pocket Torah, right? Like a
I don't.
reprint.
There's got to be there's probably even books that have the Torah in them.
Okay.
Although I just feel like as a Jewish person that would probably be very sacrilegious. Like we have this, but if you think about it, the Torah itself like is just a very inconvenient like document.
Yeah,
Because
get my
you gotta
scroll out.
roll it. And
Yeah.
it's giant. There's
Yeah.
so much to it. You just gotta roll it all out. And it's also like over 3,000 years, so it's like
Yeah.
falling apart. So you gotta be really careful
Each
with
one
the
of them is
unloading of it.
3,000 years old.
I mean the classic ones are classic ones. They're ancient texts that were written
Jesus
by hand. So
Christ.
I mean, yeah, like you have to. I mean the a true Torah, like obviously if you're getting a
Yeah.
replica Torah, then it's just not it's
Right.
just a replica. But there's like actual Torahs out there that we consider to be like it's like finding one of the Bibles that were written before
King
the printing
James.
press,
Yeah,
before
yeah.
the printing press.
Yeah.
So it's just like there's only so many of them.
Okay. All right. That see, didn't know that. That's check mark for coolness, huh?
Oh yeah, no.
Look
If you
at-
guys
look
think Bitcoin is worth something, you guys should get yourself a Torah.
Yeah,
That stuff is worth like those can be worth. I mean, not even millions, but maybe tens of thousands, I guess.
Okay.
I don't know. I'd like to find out what the most expensive Torah is.
It's got
Let's
to be. You want?
Actually,
I'm on it. You want me to
let's
change
yeah.
this
What
shit?
is the most expensive? That's gonna be the name of this episode. What is the most
Okay.
expensive Torah?
Oh my God. Let's find it here.
Most expensive Torah crown. Why is the Torah important? Most expensive.
I'm kind of a little bit let down by Google right now because I imagine they're listening to me on 4 different devices, and I'm having to type this all the way out.
Well, I'm on Bing, man, because I don't mess with that crew. I don't trust them not to look at my stuff.
You don't fuck with Google anymore?
I mean, I do on my laptop.
Okay.
But
I see one in Paris that went for 3.87 million. That's
there you go, guys. There you go.
Yeah.
Buy a Torah. Okay, Yando, take that 60K,
Yeah.
put it into a Torah.
Put it into a Torah, yeah.
Put it into
They're
a
only
Torah.
appreciating. I mean,
In fact, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to create Torah coin.
Torah coin.
Torah coin, yes.
Isn't that kind of the U.S. dollar conspiracy?
Oh, nice work, dude.
Yeah, well, get a anti-Semitic bit in there, but.
Gavin also added, it's thought that the Mosaic. Oh my God, dude, I don't know how to say ancient
the Mosaic
words.
Exodus
Mosaic
occurred
Exodus
in Ramses III, sometimes in the 13th century BCE. Oh, come on, Gavin, you're coming at us like this, but you're not going to use BC.
The Jews could not have built it.
well,
Sorry, Eric. It's Ericson. Honestly, you can say all you want about the Jews, but you get my name right, okay?
Right, my God.
Don't call me Eric.
I'm
The Jews could not have built it. Okay.
wild, man.
Okay.
All right. Well, I guess.
Okay. I guess
aliens,
Exodus 12 says Jews.
I mean, look at that. Hey, Gavin.
That's
Just,
that's a historian right there. Well, then I guess it was alien.
Yeah, I guess it's got to be aliens then.
Yeah, I really don't feel like doing the research.
Yeah, I can't look into it. Be like, nah.
I mean,
if it wasn't.
I mean,
Jews.
that's the thing, dude. I totally believe that, like, you know what? There was maybe a few Jewish contractors involved, and they saw they were using slaves, and they're like, "Oh my God, these are my people." And they're like, they went back home, and it was all Jews.
Like,
It was all Jews.
Yeah, like you guys know who built those? I'm gonna fucking blow your mind, Jews.
Right. They probably had a Jewish blueprint, like, and like some Jewish contractor who organized it. Wouldn't that be crazy if we found out the Jews were actually the ones who were whipping everybody?
Capos, baby. I believe it. Capos. I don't know. Here's the thing. So
I don't know. I never watched this.
You're at Passover dinner, and here's something I always thought was kind of cool about Judaism, and even the Passover I went to. There was a sense of like, oh, we're all Jewish. We like no matter what. There's this like camaraderie of like we got to look out for each other. Like even the most son of a bitch I hate you Jew to another Jew seems to still have some sort of connection where it's like, all right, like if there is somebody else that's gonna fuck with us, like you and I put this aside for a second and then we'll get back to it. The familial fighting, if you will, seems very true. We're in the Catholic Church, man. Like I grew up, it's like our family, your family. We both got to come to this building, but you fuck off after we're going our own way too.
But in the building, would anyone ever? Do you ever get the feeling that people would rat you out to the priest to send you to hell? Does you get
Yeah,
that feeling?
yeah,
Okay, so
for
there
sure.
is, yeah.
Like
It's in Judaism, we don't even believe in hell, but we definitely wouldn't rat each other out. But
no, that
but we have historical reason not to. Like that would be considered a really fucked up thing to do at this point.
See, I mean, I could go on. We could go on podcasting about how fucking crazy the differences between growing up Jewish and Catholic are, and then why
Well,
I have
here's
legitimate grievances with the church for personal
I
reasons.
know you all do. You all do.
Yeah,
You all do.
yeah, we
All of
do.
you Catholics, man. You
Well,
guys like.
let's just say this: rabbis can get married, right? They can get their nut.
Yeah.
That's a huge goddamn problem I have.
You don't like that
have you
rabbis can get married?
No, I love that rabbis can get married. When have you ever seen a celibate man and being like, yeah, he's onto some good shit? No.
I mean,
Every now and again, you
if
meet
it's
a
by
monk, but
choice,
no-
if it's by choice,
Sure.
I will give them possible Jedi status.
All
But
right.
if you're forcing someone down that path, that's a desperate person.
Yeah, like when I've met priests in training, like brothers that are training to become fathers, and like, dude, that'll come up, and I'm like, oh, you guys can drink a beer or two and read Game of Thrones. They're like, I fucking love Game of Thrones. I'm like, you like them titties, don't you? Like, yeah, or the wieners. I don't know, but it's regardless. I got grievances with that. I got grievances with the corporate structure of the church. But yeah, I don't want to go into it all, man. Like I said, I got no problems with Jesus or God, though, man. Jesus is just all right with me.
Well, I don't know. That's the thing. I was like, my friend was telling me I should probably join like a Christian or a Catholic church to like meet a girl, because like at least those people have some sort of like value system at this point. But
they're freaks, but you know.
Well, the thing is, so she sent me a podcast, and like it was actually a pretty mindful podcast on the topic of transgenderism and stuff like that. But it was just funny how like at the end of every like pretty much like point they made, they're like, I guess really what they need to realize is that they just need Jesus. And I'm like, okay, great. Like
anytime
that's your
I
answer
hear
to
that,
everything.
listen, man,
They just need to learn that God's here for them. And I was like, okay.
So you opened up jokingly,
Can of worms?
but no, jokingly, you opened up the podcast, just kind of saying that we were both modern day Stoics, and I think one of the biggest things of Stoicism is having an idyllic personality or personified thing that you hold yourself to as like a perfect standard to strive for. Though you'll never get there, you strive to do it right on the daily. And so we joke a lot, Goku, right? I try to be like Goku, but I think for a lot of people, Jesus might be that. Whether or not they know they're practicing Stoicism, I think Jesus is that person or being to them.
That's
like,
fine.
I need to be. Yeah, I've got no problems with that at all.
It's when you act like he's an actual person that you have a relationship with. It's just I guess I get really hung up on like, I don't mind Yahweh as a concept and as something we strive for. And if you're open to the whole idea of like, yeah, it's an idea, it's a way of life. Okay, fine. It's when everyone go like, well, they need to like realize that Jesus is out there and he loves them. It's just like, okay, that's just too concrete for me, because it's like you're making it sound like there really is some dude behind the curtain jerking off to the thought of me loving them, and I don't want that.
Oh,
I don't believe it's true. I just don't even think there's any evidence to it being true, and I don't think it's as useful. We should wrap up, but here's something I've been thinking about.
Never has your Judaism come out so much more when you're like, I believe Jesus was a guy, but my savior, the Son of God, no, thank you.
I think it's good for everyone. And I'm saying this as honestly and succinctly as possible when it comes to religion. I think it's good for everyone to have a fairy tale that drives their existence. Okay. But I'm starting to think that everyone needs to keep that fairy tale to themselves. Yeah. I think that when you try to enroll other people into your life, your way of life, your rules for living, and I'm talking about like core ones. Yeah. If it's like those should only have to serve you and no one else, because at the end of the day, if you are looking for a relationship with God or the universe, then you are the universe, in which case it is only up to you to follow by your rules. And if you want to pick and choose from other people's like, stories that they leave behind, their ideas, that's fine. But I don't know. I can't imagine any kind of like uh dogma that
Uh-huh.
I could follow, that if I started seeing more and more people following it to the point that it's just a mass of people following it, that I wouldn't become concerned, because suddenly it's no longer my way of life. It's now this like organized like path that a mass is following blindly. I'm no longer thinking about it.
Right.
I'm just blindly following it with the tide.
Right.
So I just, that's always been my personal opinion, is that like, and what I've come to realize recently is that like it's good to have obviously some sort of like, personal I like virtue and some sort of religious story in your head if you want, if that serves you. But I just think I think everyone's has to be unique to their own
Yeah.
experience, their own
Kind of,
life.
you kind of talking about personal spiritualism. I've
I think
seen
it goes back
that.
to stoicism is my point.
Right.
It's like you talk
Right.
about an
Right.
ideal in your head. It's like that ideal should be yours. Nietzsche had an attitude that no one should ever share their principles, that a
Right.
man's principles are his own. And that when you share them, now you are almost infecting their mind
Right.
with your principles, and they're not their own. They're now they're living your life by your principles.
Because of what Nietzsche said there, I
Yes.
picked up the mantra that a man ought to have some secrets.
Yeah.
And yeah,
And I think that secret is your religion. So keep God to
it
yourself.
could be you, and then you slam the door on the Mormons.
Right.
Like,
Right.
hour done. Get off my porch. Like, no, man, I can get down with a lot of that, and I did want to ask you because every now and again you got that LA stank on you about that Rastafarian fucking Passover you went to,
Oh, right. Right.
but
Right.
but
Oh.
the spiritualism movement as well. Like I've seen this kind of stem from the coasts and it's working its way inward, where people are like, I'm not religious, I'm spiritual. I'm like, that sounds
Well,
like
that's what
an
happens.
individual religion, but whatever. People vibing, people getting back into,
I feel like that's
pagan
been happening
things.
since like the 90s. I
For
mean, that's
sure.
just kind of always been a trope.
But like tarot cards used to be like a fun, like, haha, let's go do this. And I think like now more and more people are like, there's a little bit more to the sun and the moon than I think we let on. I'm like, fucking whatever keeps you from killing the guy next to you. I don't care.
Right.
But
Well, everybody wants to believe in magic. It's funny. I was thinking about my friend Monterey, who came on my podcast a few weeks ago, and I was asking her because she's all into that. She has a podcast where she talks about tarot cards and like spirituality and things like that, and she's like really into witch stuff.
yeah,
But what's interesting about her is that she's someone, and I brought this up on my podcast, who I feel like would be very critical of the type of girls who get really into like crystals and spirituality and stuff. And she's like, that's true. I am critical of those people, but I also understand what gets a girl into that. And she's like, what gets a girl into that is usually extreme trauma. Like the reason, like like girls aren't like, and we mostly talked about how girls are into witchcraft as kids.
uh,
And she's like, that usually comes from trauma. It's not like girls got together and be like, oh, would it be fun if we cast spells on people? It's like, no, something horrible happened to me and I need to blame the devil for it.
it's kind of like a
And I was
coping mechanism. Then
right.
okay,
She's
yeah.
had some serious shit happen to her as a child that she talks about her art. And she made it very, and I think it's reasonable to believe that, yeah, it makes total sense, right?
What?
Like if you
Yeah,
get
I could for
fucked
sure
around
see
with
that.
as a kid, it's like you want to believe. But I thought about that on a grander scale. Just take that out of the field of women, like people in life. Like
Yeah.
we want there to
Yeah, I
be
was
a
gonna
reason.
say I don't think that's
For
a
the
one track like gender thing.
well,
I've definitely seen it.
right.
Yeah,
That's my point, is that I just
right,
kind of realized I was like, oh, take away witchcraft, replace with religion. It's like, that's most people. We need
right.
some sort of explanation for the pain that we experience. Now, Stoicism tries to take that away. It tries to say,
Yeah.
like, you come up with your own reason.
Well, it also
It's not,
doesn't matter.
there is,
Like,
yeah, there's
it's
no
your
reason
reaction.
anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. Exactly.
What I
You
like
are,
about stoicism a lot is when you get nihilists that they're like, it doesn't matter. I'm like, no. It doesn't matter to you. You matter and exist, and your reaction matters. And that's kind of
right.
what I like about it. It's like, no, shit matters still, but how it happens to you and why it happens to you doesn't matter as much as what actually matters is you and how you react. I
Yeah.
like that. I like that a lot. But
Right. So that goes back to my point about spirituality. Is
Yeah.
I think people. It goes back to my original point about libertarianism and why I don't think it's going. Why philosophically, I think spiritually or politically, I might be very aligned with them.
Okay.
As a way I govern myself.
Yeah.
But when it comes to people, I think people would rather, because they feel like things don't matter unless someone tells them how it matters.
Right.
They don't think they don't have the ability or the interest or the muscle to build their own meaning.
Right.
They look for meaning from others.
Mhm.
And they and now we're living and it used to be they would find it in religion.
Mhm.
Oh, dude, I have this book that was literally written by the guy who made you. Like
Right,
it'll tell you
right,
everything you're
right.
supposed to do. So you
I-
do? Yeah, man, it makes me happy. It'll make you happy. That's all eroding. We're losing religion. God is dead. We're no longer believing as much in the mystical as we used to, that we're now having to turn that from I'm religious to I'm spiritual.
Right, but I'm actually picking
I'm
up
not
a lot of what you're
spiritual.
talking about.
I'm a liberal.
Right, but here's the
I'm
thing.
not
I was
liberal,
gonna
but
say
Black
we can
Lives
bring
Matter.
this full circle now, because the
Yeah.
way you were talking about, that sense of purpose and that individual's spirituality. I think the people that can actually do that would fall again in that camp of maybe being actual libertarians, where when you need an external sense of purpose or a greater power of being, that's where you pick a party or you pick a tribe and you get external sense of purpose. So no, man, I think you kind of organically brought it full circle there.
Right. Well,
nicely
the
done.
one thing that works for me when I do comedy is I'm able to make it connect. But yeah, so I think we're in agreement that both the Republicans and Democrats are pieces of shit, and that we'd be better on these parties.
We next week, if you want to talk about, I think
I'm going to read that. I missed that article, but I'm going to read that article. I'm going to read the Fall of Empires this time because I'm going to because now I have it on my phone.
Right,
I'll read that, and we'll go over that.
I like that, and then Adam York starting off the podcast, sparking us both, and you and I being crypto decentralized junkies as well. With the one-party system money, I would love to do a takedown of corporate America with you as well, and kind of talk.
Sure.
Because
let's. I mean, that's. I mean, we kind of. It's funny. I still feel bad that if people don't know this, but after the last episode, we had an hour and a half long conversation about that spun from the Asian massage parlor shootings. But during that conversation, my major point wasn't that I was like, although we were mostly arguing over the motive, my biggest problem, like I was saying the whole time, was that I don't even care about whether or not if someone's racist or not, if they get tried for it, as much as I just don't like the way the media presents things so slanted as a way to make sure that we're talking about certain things.
Right.
And I think that expands into a bigger problem with our government. I think everyone knows this. Like there's very rich people out there right now that have a lot of money, and they're able to make moves to make sure they continue to have that money as long as the population keeps fighting each other.
Right. And that's, that's where we got into the really decentralization and the scary thing of crypto, market manipulations, government manipulations, media manipulations, borderline having ourselves a conspiracy talk at some point here. But I don't think a lot of it is, because it's like it's starting to blow up in our faces. And I've seen memes now, and I was like telling jokes at open mics before the pandemic. But I was like, man, it's got to be wild that the tinfoil trailer park guy who said the government's doing this, that, and the other thing is just fucking knocking it out of the park now.
Well, also take away. I think there are conspiracies out there, but you also have to ask yourself sometimes. It's like, at what point though are you talking about conspiracies, or are you just criticizing your government?
Right,
because
right.
I know I present it as like it's money and it's these rich people, but like I'll even be more specific. It's like the question is like, why is our government officials who are making tons of money in various ways that are connected to corporations and funding and backdoor deals, why are they not doing things that will make this country better?
Right.
That's like that are obviously in the interest of the people rather than the interest of corporations and themselves.
I can also get into lobbying. So we got a lot on the plate coming up on the obstacle. Cool. It seems like we got 4 or 5 subjects right there that we can get into.
This was a messy episode, but I think we had a lot of fun. Just kind of.
Yeah, we didn't have a proper rundown, but we had fun with it, and the chat was going off today, so I appreciate that.
No, I appreciate you guys jumping in.
We also
Catholic Louis should review New Pope on HBO. Is that show still going on?
I don't know, but I'll get into that. I was gonna say we can do the rundown of the rest of the comments and before shameless plugs here, but just kind of final points being like we're switching to 10 a.m.s on Mondays. So we got a lot going on for the obstacle, and let's do the final comments, and then we'll do shameless plugs, and then probably get out of here. But
okay, Sean Murray says, okay, let's see. We got I'll start with OG. No, Gavin Witter off by almost a millennia, but and a half. Well, OG Yonder says, is someone born and raised in GR? What's GR?
Grand Rapids.
Grand Rapids. I feel like he would like it. Oof.
See, I told you.
I mean, I don't know why I'm getting upset by this, like possibility, like me being happy. Like he makes a joke, like, "Oh, you'd really get along there." I'm like, "Oh, what is that supposed to mean?" It's like, well, if I'd be happy there, what do I give a fuck? Like, Okay, maybe I'll go to Grand Rapids. How far is that from Lansing?
About an hour.
Okay, everything's just about an hour in Michigan, dude.
Yeah.
Do they have rock climbing? Then I'll definitely
They
consider
do.
it.
Carl Sobel has a rock climbing
Oh, that's
like
the guy
set
you're
up
talking
in
about.
his he totally was inviting people out. So
Yeah, Sean Murray says no one or H bar are for sure next ETH.
okay,
Oh,
we'll
he's
talk.
saying
Let's
okay,
do a
we'll talk.
crypto episode at some point. Maybe even
Let's just
not
do, let's
on
just
the
do a crypto.
obstacle.
Let's just do a crypto segment every
Yeah, I
episode.
was
I'll
gonna
talk
say
about
there's
whatever.
that, or yeah, we could do a happy
I'll,
the
we'll,
quickie. We
we'll
could do a quickie on crypto.
yeah,
A Sarsaparilla quickie.
we'll do what I'm shilling this week.
Okay.
And right now I'm shilling Sol, SOL, guys. If you can get your hands on some of it, just buy 10 of them if you have to.
He's gonna
I
hate me for
promise
it,
you, you
but
won't regret it.
I'm on the ADA train. 88 Cardano.
Is that gonna be your shill every week? Is
Oh,
like,
yeah.
yo, guys, get this
Yeah,
coin that like has
it's gonna
no
moon
actual
to the
utility yet.
moon.
It might.
Moon.
Okay. I guess this is Gavin Witter. Okay. I guess Exodus 12 says the Jews lived in Egypt 430 years ago. That still means the pyramids were built before the Jews were enslaved. Honestly, look, dude, I'm Jewish and I'm just starting to believe. I think we would just honest to God, co-opt that story into our own. I'm not kidding.
Seems about.
We are a great people. We are very kind and courteous, but we also have a tendency to play the victim ourselves.
Oh, you self-loathing Jew.
There was probably like 3 Jews on the project, and they're like, "This is our work." Yeah, they did it, but we did the most of the work, and we were slaving ourselves over it.
Yeah.
But okay, Yando says Bo Burnham from the perspective of God is a great song.
Yeah. Do you not like Bo? I've come around to him. I actually
I've come around to him too. I still don't like his music.
Oh, see, I like Bo. I'm gonna listen to "Kill Yourself" after this podcast. I like that song.
Gavin Witter says, have you guys seen the series HBO streaming Miracle Workers? A funny take on the universe is run by the one true God, played by Steve Buscemi. That does sound very appealing.
I'll give it a listen.
As a guy who hates media and is over television and the entertainment world, that does sound like. I'll give it a shot. I'll watch the first 10 minutes if it hooks me.
Tell you what, I like Steve Buscemi, so I'll give it a shot for that reason alone.
As a Catholic, Louis should
review
we read that.
I'll give you a book report.
Unrelated, but what are you guys' top 3 living big name comics? Living, Jesus. Louis C.K., Dave Chappelle, Jared Carmichael.
I would say Dave Chappelle, Kyle Kinane, and man, that's tough. I don't know.
And I'm weary on Dave Chappelle, by the way, now. Like, that guy's got to stop doing commercials for Netflix. Like, if he starts doing comedy again, I'll go back to thinking he's the GOAT. But like, seriously, dude, just stop talking about your journey through getting the rights to your television show.
I fucking loved all of it. So I love Dave Chappelle, Kyle Kinane, and then I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of, she's not super well known yet, but I don't know. I'm not gonna do regional. I'll do somebody you can look up.
I was about to say, if you start bringing up people like they're coming to your open mic, want to kill you.
Yeah, no, it wouldn't be open mic. We can't get them there. But no, Mary Santora down in Cleveland's fucking hilarious. She's on a radio morning show down there, and like, dude, yeah, she's on the come up, so she's gonna be very good. But okay.
Sean Murray says, yeah, new/young Pope are killer. Okay. Right. OG Yondo then says it's a very Michigan thing to reference distance by time instead of miles from what I've heard.
Yeah, that's the most Michigan thing ever.
Honestly, though, but it's true in Michigan. I lived after being there for a month, like everything's just an hour away. Like that's all you got to say. It's an hour away. Because the thing is Ann Arbor and where else did I go? I went somewhere else.
It's about an hour away.
Ann Arbor.
Exactly. Yeah.
Ann Arbor and somewhere else. I think like Oaks.
Royal
Oaks.
Royal Oaks.
Yeah. They're both a very different distance away. They're both like miles away, like different. Like one's further away than the other.
South, Royal Oak would be north of it. Yeah.
Right, but they're also one's further than the other. But they both take me an hour to get there.
Yep.
And I'm just like,
about
okay, it's always an hour. It's always an hour.
Detroit from Lansing, about an hour and a half, and Kalamazoo from Lansing, about an hour 20. But you know, if you're cruising, about an hour.
Lewis, what do you want to show?
Let's go. Yeah, shameless plugs. I'm going to go into free consultation, comedy law podcast that my buddy Nick Ladorf and I do. Very fun and informative. Good times if you like talking government, law, and comedy. And also jokes. Nick and I riff, and it's good times. So check that out anywhere you can find podcasts. Loaded for Bear YouTube page I'm doing where I'm doing spoof prep and stuff. I finally have found the lane I'm going to go into. I used to do like half real prepping, half jokes. But now I'm like, oh, I've married the two into doing spoof prepping, and it's my soft reboot of the Red Green Show where I make goofy shit for the apocalypse. A lot of fun. It's been picking up a little bit of steam. I'm Twitch streaming now, building Lego. That's been a hell of a lot of fun at Lou the Surgeon on Twitch. I'm at the affiliate level already. I just got to submit for it. That's Thursdays, 12 to 3, so noon to 3, and then Sundays, 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. And then follow me at Instagram at Lou the Surgeon, same thing. Hell of a lot of plugs, I know, because I'm doing.
You got to get one of those link trees that all those OnlyFans girls have, dude.
Definitely do, because I have an OnlyFans at Lou the Surgeon. Lots of bulges. You can check that out.
You joke, then, but you don't even know how much of an income you were just passing up on.
Yeah, I know. Damn my character. And then final thing, big shout out for not only the obstacle on Salsa Parlor, but all things Salsa Parlor. Check us out on YouTube, which you're watching right now. Please like and subscribe if you haven't.
Get your friends to subscribe. We know you guys are subscribed, but we're at 71 now. We're less than 30 away. How can I say?
So close. Yeah, the ticker. We need
I love when people do that, where they always like just say we're less than this number away. It's like, yeah, okay, we get it. You're closer than you were yesterday. Okay,
but y'all care, so please.
We're less than 25 away. We're less than 20. It's like, yeah, you're not there yet.
Yeah, if you want to be a serious OG Yondo, which is going to be our top Patreon spot once we get that going, you just got to get one person to like it, and then that person to get somebody else to like. Pyramid Scheme our stuff for Salsa Parlor on digital content. And yeah, all things Salsa Parlor. And after this episode, I'm going to be working on getting all the episodes up on anywhere you can listen to podcasts. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we just pulled the trigger. We're going to get it going. So
okay.
Yeah, getting that.
You doing that with? Okay.
Yeah, we'll talk off mic, but yeah. It's simple, but we're going for it, and if we need to move it, we'll move it. But yeah, I think, Jesus Christ, did I cover everything? My stay-in updates will be on the Lou the Surgeon Instagram once I make my poster. So, boom, that'll do.
Awesome.
Hell of a lot. Erickson?
I don't have as much going on as Lou. I mean, it's not at least as much as I want to talk about for sure. But you guys can find my podcast, Just Erickson, wherever you find podcasts. It's basically me talking to other people just like Lou, who I love and like to get into interesting conversations with. I got to think of a better way to sell it. But here's what it is. Honestly, if you're like, who's the next Mark Maron? That's basically what it is.
Fucking said that to you for years. So you're like, no.
I know. We had a moment during the last recording where I did such a Mark Maron thing. I was just like, God damn it, dude.
This when he dies,
who I am.
There you go.
I literally wrote down. I really stopped the podcast so I could grab a notebook to write down what my friend thought my principles were.
Yeah, Jesus, man.
And I was like, okay. Yeah.
When he dies, they're gonna be like, well, who's this fucking guy? And then Joe Rogan will probably outlive me. But if he died and I go bald, I'll try.
But if you go bald, I want to be there for it. I want to see what that looks like.
Oh, I'm going bald. It'll be.
And by what that looks like is I want to see how you handle it.
Oh, I don't, dude. You already talk about my planned schlubbedness. You really think?
Yeah, that's true.
That's just your body being like, all right, one less thing for you to take care of, buddy.
Yeah, just don't ever turn back into Fat Lou. I don't want to know what that guy's
Fat
like.
Lou's a good time. But then I'll be drunk Fat Lou, so that's a good time. But,
okay.
All right, guys, that'll do it for the obstacle this week. So
yeah, guys, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week at 10 a.m.
10 a.m. Mondays.
Love to you, OJ Yondu. We got to figure out a call off next time. But yeah, let's end it right here.
Cool. See you guys. All right, stream.
I'm gonna try to make the thumbnail for that like